स्मृतापि तरुणातपं करुणया हरन्ती नृणाम् अभङ्गुरतनुत्वषां बलयिताशतैर्विद्युतां कलिन्दगिरिनन्दिनी तटसुरद्रुमालम्बिनी मदीयमतिचुम्बिनी भवतु कापि कादम्बिनी. Let me share the book. Yeah. We have to start with the second one. Adadu, we finished with the first kind of kavyam. Prathamam uttamottamam kavyam. And the example that he took up for discussion, he gave 2-3 examples. That is, Paṇḍitarāja gave 2-3 examples, and then he took up the example of Nisheshachyuta Chandanam. There was a discussion about the way Appaya Dikshita has given his explanation for Nisheshachyuta Chandanam, and then Paṇḍitarāja also gave his Vyakhyanam for that, and we closed it with last class. Now we have to move on to the Dvitiya Prakaranam. Tatra Dvitiyam Prakaranam tu Uttama Kavyam Ityuktam. So this is something very different with respect to Paṇḍitarāja, where he has a second category which is still in the Uttama category. So actually the Gunibhuta Vyangyam is sort of split into 2 categories with respect to Jagannatha Pandita. He splits that Gunibhuta Vyangyam into one wherein even though the Vyangyam is apradhanam, it still has a beauty. Then it is called Uttama Kavyam. It is a Madhyama Kavyam if it is apradhanam and there is not chamatkara. So he splits the Gunibhutam into 2. That is what happens here. In a way, you can sort of map it in this manner to other alankarikas in this manner. So the Lakshanam he gives for this is Yatra Vyangyam Apradhanameva Sat Chamatkara Karanam Tat Dvitiyam. So this is the second type of kavyam. Tat Dvitiyam Vartate Yatra Yasmin Kavye. So Yatra Yasmin Kavye Vyangyam Apradhanameva Sat. So Vyangyam Vyangyantara Pekshaya Vachya Pekshaya va kimapi Vyangyam vartate tattu apradhanam. So it is not as pradhanam or as mukhyam. It doesn't immediately shine forth and give you a beautiful feeling that way, but it's a little less than the vachya or a little less than anything else. So apradhanameva sat guni bhutam, that is, it is lesser, but chamatkara karanam, still it also gives us a chamatkara, that is, it has some beauty associated with it also. Now he moves into the Dalaprayojanam for each of this, where he says apradhanameva iti kimartham tatra vaktavyam. அப்பிரதானமாகவே இருந்து அதுக்கு எதுக்கு ஸ்வரம் கூட்டணுங்கிற மாதிரி. So why should there be an avadharana? That is, why should there be an evakara in this lakshanam? So vachyapekshaya pradhani bhutam vyangyantaram adaya Gunibhutam Vyangyam Adaya Ativyapti Varanaya Avadharanam Tena Tasya Dhvanitvam Eva. This is like one complete mystery line madri irkum. So this is more, you'll have to go into sections here. Vachya apekshaya pradhani bhutam vyangyantaram adaya. Okay, the avadharanam is what he is trying to say here. Avadharana is evakaraha, and why this evakara is present in the lakshana vakya. Apradhanameva sat iti tatra evakarasya prayojanam kim. So that eva is also a way of stressing. Avadharana means you stress that this is how it is. So what is the necessity for an avadharanam in this lakshanam? Okay, I will just show you what he is going through in this line, because in the next one he moves on to Leena Vyangyam. So if you want to understand this, you have to go to where there is an Ativyapti. Yeah, where there could be an Ativyapti. In the Uttamottama Kavyam, let's say you take the Nisheshachyuta Chandanam. Now the structure is such that you have a vachyartha, you have another vyangyartha. Right? This is what we always understand on a simple level. You have a shloka, there is a vachyartha there, and then from there you understand a vyangyartha. But sometimes, in the case of, let's say, Nisheshachyuta Chandanam, there can be 2-3 vyangyas there. Okay, there can be an intermediary vyangya and there can be a paryantika vyangya. So, antaralika vyangyam kimapi bhavatyeva, and then there is a paryantikam. Paryantikam is an ultimate vyangyartha that you can come about. Right? Now, let's take what is the vachyartha for this shloka. The vachyartha is simple. Vapim snatum ito gatosi na punastasya adhamasyantikam. You only went to this vapi, you did not go to that man. Right? So, this is the vachyartha that we come to. Now, what is the vyangyartha that we get from here? Nana tasya adhamasya antikameva rantum gata asi ityeva tatra vyangyartha bhavati. Now, this is still an intermediary vyangyartha. This is not your final vyangyartha. Why is the Nayika talking about it in this manner? Why is she looking at that Duti and saying, you didn't even go to that man. You went and had a lovely time having a bath. You just took some bath and came back. What is this? But then the ultimate thing that she is actually feeling there is Vipralamba Shrungara. And she is separated from the Nayaka. This lady who is supposed to go and get these two together, the Nayika and the Nayaka, she did not do her job. Hence, the Nayika is still separated from the Nayaka. Which means the ultimate vyangyartha that we arrive at from this Nisheshachyuta Chandanam is there is a paryantika vyangyartha. Paryantam na paryanta. That is the end. The ultimate vyangyartha that we arrive at is your Vipralamba Shrungara. Okay, so not only is she saying you only went to him and you betrayed me, and not only is she accusing him, but the result of this whole episode is such that she is still feeling that Vipralambha. She is still separated from the Nayaka. She is trying to convey that, I am sad here. Whereas you betrayed me and you went and stayed with him. But the ultimate thing is, I am still upset. So that Vipralambha is your final. Any Dhvani Kavyam, if it goes into a rasa, then that is your ultimate rasa Dhvani. Right? That becomes only the Uttamottama Kavyam. Only if it ends in a beautiful rasa, then it's it's beautiful only in that manner. So you have the Paryantika Vyangyartha as the Vipralamba Shrungara. Now we have to fix the Pradhanatvam and Apradhanatvam in this. Let's look at what is Pradhana here, what is Apradhana. When you consider the Vachyartha, Vapim snatum ito gatosi, na punastasya adhamasyantikam, you look at the Antaralika Vyangyartha, which is the tasya adhamasya antikam eva rantum gatasi, iti yaduktam, tattu pradhanaha bhavati. Tadrishaha Vyangyartha, that Vyangyartha, suggestive meaning, becomes pradhana when compared to the Vachyartha, because she is trying to accuse the Duti, and in a very roundabout manner, she wants to tell her that, listen, I know what you have done. So that becomes pradhana and the Vachyartha becomes apradhana. Is it clear? Now you go into the Vipralamba Shrungara. When you compare what is the Paryantikam, it is the rasa. That rasa is pradhanam and your intermediary becomes apradhana with respect to that Vipralamba Shrungara. What she ultimately wants to convey becomes much more important than just this betrayal. All this is fine. You went to him, everything is okay. But the result is, I am still suffering here. That sort of a Vipralamba Shrungara becomes even more pradhana when compared to this Antaralikam, this intermediary Vyangyartha, which takes on an apradhana status. Okay, now look at this section of the middle portion of this has both your pradhanatvam and an apradhanatvam here. Okay, now keep this section in mind, because it is apradhanam, but at the same time it is also chamatkara karanam. Before we go into this Vipralambha, this Tasya Adamasya Antikameva Rantum Gata Asi, that portion still gives you a feeling of beauty. See, she is able to very cleverly point out to her that she has betrayed. Both of them have betrayed. That she is able to beautifully bring out. So this antaralika vyangyartha, whether it is pradhanam or apradhanam, you keep it aside for a moment and look at whether it is chamatkara karanam or not. It is chamatkara karanam, and it is pradhanam when compared to the vachyartha. But it is apradhanam when compared to your paryantika rasa. Then what happens is apradhanameva sat chamatkara karanamapi vartate. Then we will have to qualify this Nisheshachyuta Chandanam as an Uttama Kavya, not an Uttamottama Kavya. So your Uttama Kavya Lakshanam seems to apply for Uttamottama Kavyam also if I do not have this Evakara here. Let's say I don't have Eva, I have only Apradhanam Sat, Chamatkara Karanam. Now this tasya antikasya tasya adamasya antikameva gatasi iti vyangyarthasya tu apradhanatvam vartate chamatkara karanamapi vartate. Apo this vyangyartha, because of this vyangyartha, this shloka will not be treated as uttamottama kavyam, but it will be treated as an uttama kavyam if we did not have this evakara. When we have this evakara, now what happens? Now, this vyangyartha is not apradhanaha eva iti nasti. It is both pradhanaha vachyartha apekshaya pradhanam, vyangyantara apekshaya apradhanam. So, which means this cannot qualify as apradhanameva. Abrin solla mudiyadu. We can't say that, right? Because it is both apradhana and pradhana. Then now our Uttama Kavya Lakshanam will not go into the Uttamottama Kavya Lakshanam. Is that clear? Now we'll go back to the text and see what he says in his words. He gives one formula kind of sentence here. So Vachyapekshaya pradhani bhutam vyangyantaram adaya. So Vachyartha apekshaya Vapim snatum gatasi iti vachyartha apekshaya. When comparing with the vachyartha, there is an antaralika vyangyam which is pradhanam. Pradhani bhutam vyangyantaram, which is tasya adamasyantikameva gatasi iti yat vyangyantaram anyaha vyangyarthaha vartate. Sa vyangyarthaha tu pradhanaha vartate. When you compare it with the vachyartha, this intermediary vyangyartha becomes pradhanam. Pradhani bhutam vyangyartham adaya. Now what does become for this intermediary vyangyam? Antaralinga vyangyam tu aduna guni bhutam vartate. Guni bhutam vyangyam adaya. Because it becomes guni bhutam when with respect to paryantika vyangyartha. Vipralamba shringara apekshaya tu Atra antaralika vyangyarthasya gunibhutatvam vartate. It becomes apradhanam. Then ativyapti. You have this lakshanam applying to the uttamottama kavyam also. Tad ativyapti varanaya. In order to remove that ativyapti, we have to stress and say it cannot be both pradhana and apradhana. Apradhanameva sat. There, how many ever vyangyarthas you have? Let's say you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There can be 1500 vyangyarthas. That's fine. Kasyavana bhavati rosho. Drishtva priyayaha sabranam. You have, each one has a different vyangyartha there. So how many ever vyangyarthas you have? All of those should be apradhanam. Apradhanameva sat. But they can also be beautiful. Chamatkara karanam. Tena tasya dhvanitvam eva ityukte tasya uttamottama kavyasya dhvanitvam eva. Okay. So vachyapekshaya pradhani bhutam vyangyantaram adaya guni bhutam vyangyam adaya ativyapti varanaya avadharanam. So this is so many things go there behind it. So uttamottama kavye uttama kavyasya lakshanam syat. So it might apply to the uttamottama kavya also. How does it apply? Because in the uttamottama kavya you have two vyangyas. One is say antaralika vyangyam, which is intermediary. You can also have a paryantika vyangyam. The antaralika vyangyam also contributes to it being uttamottama kavyam. But when you remove that evakara, that antaralika vyangyam becomes apradhanam. It also gives chamatkaram, and you will have to redefine your uttama kavyam as an uttama kavyam. To avoid that, we put in this evakara. So our uttama kavyam remains as a dhvani kavyam. Okay. Any doubts? Okay.
So, Uttama Kavya will always have Rasadhvani, is it?
Not always have a Rasadhvani, but some Paryantika Vyangyam can also occur, which can make the Antaralika Vyangya, it can be a Bhavadhvani also. Not necessary that it has to be only Rasadhvani. If there is an Alankara, is that okay?
Yeah, even Bhavadhvani as well. Yeah. Bhavadaya and all those as well. Yeah.
All of those can happen, right? But if you have an Alankara Dhvani also, but that Alankara has to have a much more Chamatkaratvam there. Only then can you qualify it as an Uttamotamka. Clear? Okay. Next one is Chamatkara Karanam iti Niveshasya Prayojanam. Why has he included Chamatkara Karanam? Apradhanameva sat kavyam. Lina Vyangya Vachya Chitra Atiprasangavaranaya Chamatkara Ityadi. Now, what is this Lina Vyangyam? Lina Vyangyam you can say as wherein the Vyangyartha is completely submerged. It is not clear at all. Asputam. So, the Vyangya can be Asputam. Then it will not contribute towards Chamatkara. It is not beautiful for the Sahridaya. So the example here he gives is, when we go with the example, it is much more clear. This Vyakhyata gives a nice example here. Adrishte, so Adrishte Darshanotkanṭha, Drishte Vichcheda Biruta, na Adrishtena, na Drishtena, Bhavata Alabhyate Sukham. Bhavata Labhyate Sukham. No. Bhavata Labhyate Sukham. So a Nayika is looking at the Nayaka and he's saying, Adrishte Nayake. When I do not see you, Darshana Utkantha Bhavami. When I do not see the Nayaka, the Nayika becomes Darshana Utkantha. There is an eagerness to see him. Drishte, when she sees him, Vichcheda Bhiruta, she is afraid that he is going to separate and go away. There is a fear of separation when she sees him. In the Sukha Ettanaliki, Abdingra Madri, or there is a fear constantly that he will again book a ticket and go. So Adrishte Darshana Utkantha, when she is not seeing him, she has this eagerness to see him. Drishte Sati Vichcheda Bhiruta, she is afraid of being separated from him. Na Adrishtena, na Drishtena, Bhavata Sukham na labhyate. That is Adrishtena Bhavata Sukham na labhyate. Drishtena bhavatacha sukham na labhyate. So I am I am happy neither upon seeing you nor not seeing you. Which means there is always a fear, there is always some sort of another feeling. There is no sukham whether I meet you or not. In what does this mean? It's so confusing, but the Vyangyartha here is yatha adrishtaha kadapi nasyaha Tatha kuru iti vyangyasya sattve api. It is very tough for Sahridayas to understand this Vyangyartha. What is the Vyangyartha? So you must behave in such a manner that adrishtaha kadapi nasyaha. You should ensure that you give me that trust and that confidence that you will always be with me and you will always be seen by me. That you will always be beside me. That confidence should be there. Right? Or you should behave in such a manner that you are never not seen by me. You are always seen by me. This sort of a Vyangyartha is so asputam, is not so clear. And the Chamatkaratvam in the Vachyartha is much more. Right? There is no Chamatkaratvam in the Vyangyartha. So this is a category of Madhyama Kavyam. Or Adhama Kavyam, this is a category of called Lina Vyangyam, wherein the Vyangyartha is not sputam. This is actually a Gunibhuta Vyangyam. So Lina Vyangyam, Asputa Vyangyam, Gunibhuta Vyangyasya Kavya Tritiya Bhedasya Prabhedaha. So this is an example of Gunibhuta Vyangyam, wherein the Vyangyartha is not clear at all. So if the Vyangyartha is not clear, it cannot contribute to the beauty of the Kavyam also. Yeah. So it is not chamatkara karanam. Whereas in our Uttama Kavyam, it may not be, it is not pradhanam, that's all. But if a Sahridaya is able to grasp the meaning of that Vyangyartha, he still feels it is beautiful. Chamatkara karanam yatra vartate. If you go to Guni Bhuta Vyangyam, there is no chamatkara so much there. Okay, so Leena Vyangyam, Vachya Chitram, this is the Leena Vyangyam. Leena Vyangyam is a type of Guni Bhuta Vyangyam, wherein the Vyangyartha is Leena, it is completely merged or hidden. Asputam, it is not clear. So if the Vyangyartha is not clear, there is no Chamatkara Karanam also there, because it gives great difficulty for the Sahridaya to try to find out what's the Vyangyartha. And even after he tries to find out the Vyangyartha, he is not able to appreciate and say, oh, this Vyangyartha is so much more beautiful than the Vachyartha. What is the big beauty in this? You have to ensure that you are always with me. It is not as beautiful as saying, whether I see you or not, there is no Sukham, because I am constantly missing you in some way or the other. That is more beautiful than the Vyangyartha. Yeah? So, Leena Vyangyam is one category, wherein if I don't put the word Chamatkara Karanam, then the Uttama Kavya Lakshanam will apply to the Gunibhuta Vyangya Lakshanam also. Krishna. Yeah? Another one he takes up is Vachya Chitram. Vachya Chitram is where the words are all Chitram. The Chitram Nale, it is beautiful. The words are arranged in a very beautiful manner. There is Vachyalankara, like Yamakam or Anuprasa. It is filled with all of these things. It is Shabda Chitram, or Vachya Chitram can be Artha Chitram also, wherein the meaning of the word, he takes the shloka. Idikala you have to give the shloka and then it makes much more sense here. Vanira kunja uddina shakuni kolahalam shrinvatyaha. You must have read this in Kavya Prakasham. Griha karma vyapratayaha vadvaha sidanti angani. Vadvaha, a girl who is just married, she has a rendezvous, an affair with another person. So the nayakaha kaschana vartate. She has given him the directions to come to a place, a meeting point, Datta Sanketaha Nayakaha. But the shloka here says, she hears some noise from a nearby grove. Vanira Kunja Uddina Shakuni Kula Kolahalam Shrinvatyaha. When she listens to the Kolahalam, the noise that the birds are making in a nearby grove, Grihakarma Vyapratayaha, she is still finishing up her household work. Tasya Angani Sidanti, all her body parts are just getting tortured in a manner that she is not able to stand there. She wants to quickly finish her work and go and meet the Nayaka. That is in the Vyangyartha, which is not as beautiful. Datta Sanketaha Nayakaha Vetasid Lata Kunjam Pravishtaha. The grove will be very silent until and unless someone comes in and disturbs the peace of that grove. So the moment she hears the noises of the birds, she knows that the Nayaka has entered that grove, and that is why all the birds are shouting and flying away, and they are making a kolahala. Knowing this, she realizes that he has come in there. Now, this Vyangyartha is a Vachya Chitram. That is the Artha. There is a beauty in the Artha, yes, but it is not a it's like an alankara wherein the paryayoktam, paryayokta alankara. It is a roundabout way of saying that she is not able to do her work. Her mind is constantly in the place where the Nayaka has come. So this is a Vachya Chitram. That is, there is a beauty in the meaning, yes, but it is only in the Vachyartha that is much more beautiful. So you can also take Shabda Chitram also, wherein you have Anuprasa, Yamaka and all these things. Here, the Vyangyartha is not as Chamatkaram as your Vachyartha. Okay. So if I do not put in the word Chamatkara in our Uttama Kavya Lakshanam, then it will point either to our Leena Vyangyam, or it will point to Vachya Chitram, Artha Chitram, etc. The Shabda Chitram. So, yatra Vyangyam apradhanameva sat Chamatkara karanam tadvitiyam. Is that clear? So there are two words. One is apradhanameva, the other is chamatkara karanam. He analyzes as to why that evakara is there first. If that evakara is not there, then there is an ativyapti in uttamottama kavyam. Uttamottama kavye ativyapti varanaye evakaraha. Then chamatkara karanam iti chet tatra gunibhuta vyenge ativyapti varnaya athava adhama kavye vachya chitre artha chitre shabda chitre va tatra ativyapti varnaya chamatkara karanam iti padam niveshaniyam. Is that clear? திருப்பி ஒரு தடவை கேட்டு பாருங்க, it will become clear. Yattu, now he takes up the lakshanam that Mammatacharya gives for Gunibhuta Vyangyam. Atadrishi Gunibhuta Vyangyam. Vyangyam Gunibhutasya liya adane avaroda lakshanam. Atadrishi Gunibhuta Vyangye Vyangyam tu madhyamam. Madhyama kavyasya lakshanam tu Atadrishi Gunibhuta Vyangye. Vyangyam madhyamam. इत्यादि काव्य प्रकाशगत लक्षणे चित्रान्यत्वं टीकाकारैः दत्तं तन्न पर्यायोक्त समासोक्त्यादि प्रधान काव्येषु अव्याप्ति आपत्तेः तेषां गुणीभूत व्यङ्ग्यतायाः चित्रतायाः च सर्व आलंकारिक सम्मतत्वम्. There is one particular vyakhyata for Mammatacharya, that is for Kavya Prakasham, where he says, he adds in the word chitranyatvam in the lakshana. So Mammatacharya's lakshanam is just very clear. He says atadrishi gunibhuta vyangye vyangyam tu madhyamam. There is a vyangyartha, but that vyangyartha is wherein it is not like dhvani kavyam, and the vyangyartha is gunibhutam, that is, it is apradhanam. It is simple that Kavya Prakashakara says. He says atadrishi. Tadrishi ityukte dhvani kavyavat nasti. Gunibhuta vyangyam is not like dhvani kavya. The vyangyam in the gunibhuta vyangyam, gunibhuta kavyam, madhyama kavyam, the vyangyartha is a little apradhana. It is not as beautiful as it is in the dhvani kavyam. Okay, in this there is a vyakhyata, tikakara, who includes the word chitranyatvam. That is, it is different from chitrakavyam. Chitrakavya bhinnatvam iti tatra niveshaniyam. That is, a tikakara, he supplements the word chitranyatvam and says, no, your lakshanam is not complete. You have to include the word that it is different from chitrakavyas. Iti tatra padam niveshaniyam. Iti tikakarehi uktam. But if we look at the tika and we say this also has to be included, then there is a problem that your paryayokti, samasokti, alankara, kavyas will not be included in Gunibhuta Vyangyam at all. Okay, avyapti, that is what happens here is paryayokta, samasoktyadi, pradhana kavyeshu in places where you have paryayokti alankara or samasokti alankara, wherein the vyangyartha is beautiful. There is a vyangyartha, but it is not as pradhanam as your vachyartha. Okay, in these places avyapti apattehe, these are actually gunibhuta vyangyasya udaharanameva. So wherever you have paryayokti alankara or samasokti alankara, those places you will have to include those as a gunibhuta vyangyam. But if you say chitranyatvam, then these will not be coming here at all. No, sure.
1 minute. Didn't Dhvanyaloka Anandavardhana actually also say this?
Yes.
If we say, how is Dhvani actually different from Paryayakti Alankara and everything? He actually discussed section there as well, right?
Yes, yes.
So technically, isn't this the way he's actually should be saying is?
What?
So even though even when we have Paryayakti Alankara, there is a
Gunibhutatvam.
There is a gaunartha, but that is not gunibhuta vyangyam or gunibhuta dhvani, right? Isn't that what he's actually saying here?
No, tatra chitra wait a minute. So atadrishi gunibhuta vyangyam ityadi kavya prakasha gata lakshane chitranyatvam tikākāraihi dattam. When Kavya Prakashakara has explained Gunibhuta Vyangyam, he says this is not like Dhvani, and where the Vyangyartha is apradhanam, it is called Gunibhuta Vyangyam. Okay, this section is where our Paṇḍitarāja separates it into Uttama Kavyam and Madhyama Kavyam. Okay, apradhanameva sat is the point that is there. Chamatkara karanam becomes your, if there is chamatkara, then it becomes a uttama kavyam for Paṇḍitarāja. If there is not much of chamatkara and the vachyartha has more chamatkara, then it is gunibhuta vyangyam according to our Paṇḍitarāja. Now he takes this gunibhuta vyangya lakshanam from Kavya Prakashakara and says there is one tikakara who has included that gunibhuta vyangya. Any example for a gunibhuta vyangyam wherein the vyangyartha is gunibhutam, it cannot be considered as chitra kavyam at all. It has to be something different from chitra kavyam. But Paṇḍitarāja's stand is that chitra kavye api vyangyarthaha vartate. But that vyangyartha is neither pradhanam nor is it chamatkarakari. There is, for him, what Paṇḍitarāja says is there cannot exist a kavyam which has no vyangyartha. Every shloka will have some sort of a vyangyartha or not. Something will be definitely there. No kavyam can exist without a vyangyartha. But what is the status of that vyangyartha? You have to analyze. Then only can you put it in any of the four categories. So chitranyatvam, if you say that, then our vyangyartha, the paryayokti tanna, so this statement is not right because you cannot include chitranyatvam at all here. Paryayokta samasoktiyadi pradhana kavyeshu, in poetries, in shlokas which have paryayokta alankara and samasokti alankara, paryayoktam garde, it is a roundabout way of expressing one thought. So the vachyartha will have one circular fashion of explanation and the vyangyartha will be the direct meaning that they want to convey. Samasokti is also very similar, but then samasokti is portrayal of something aprastutam, wherein the prastuta comes, portrayal of something which is prastutam and the aprastutam is understood, right? That is samasokti. Atra kavyeshu avyapti apattehe, these will not be considered because these alankaras, wherever there is alankara, tesham gunibhutatvam api asti, chitratvam api asti. It depends on certain cases. So it can be a chitra kavyam or it can be a gunibhuta vyangyam because the vyangyam is gunibhutam. In chitra kavyam also the vyangyam is gunibhutam. So he takes in both these and says that there is chamatkaratvam, the vyangyam is also gunibhutam. Then if I say chitranyatvam, then it will not apply to paryayokta or samasokti, which are also gunibhuta vyangyam. Is it clear? So we'll go over this again maybe next time. I'll see if I can clarify it and then we'll go to the udaharanam for Paṇḍitarāja. Okay.